U.S. President Donald Trump's main doctor says in a health update that the medical team treating the president is
U.S. President Donald Trump's main doctor says in a health update that the medical team treating the president
cautiously optimistic, but also notes that the president is not yet out of the woods.
is cautiously optimistic but also notes that the president is not yet out of the woods.
The latest assessment came Saturday night from Navy Commander Dr. Sean Conley.
The latest assessment came Saturday night from Navy Commander Dr. Sean Conley.
He reported that Mr. Trump had been up and around at his medical suite
He reported that Mr. Trump had been up and around at his medical suite
during the day and had been conducting business. Medical experts say the disease caused by the virus COVID-19 can become more dangerous.
Medical experts say the disease caused by the virus COVID-19 can become more
as the body responds to infection over time.
dangerous as the body responds to infection over time.
Mr. Trump is expected to remain at Walter Reed National
Mr. Trump is expected to remain at Walter Reed National
Medical Center for several more days.
Military Medical Center for several more days.
In a video Saturday from his hospital quarters, Mr. Trump says
In a video Saturday from his hospital quarters, Mr. Trump says
feeling better and hopes to be back soon.
He is feeling better and he hopes to be back soon.
Two Republican members of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee
Two Republican members of the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee
have tested positive for the coronavirus. The positive test raised questions about upcoming Supreme Court confirmation hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis and Utah Senator Mike Lee.
North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis and Utah Senator Mike Lee
both said Friday they had tested positive for the virus.
Both
attended a ceremony for Barrett on September 25th. With U.S. President Donald Trump, who had announced Friday that he had tested positive and was later hospitalized. At the hospital, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell declared the confirmation process was going full steam ahead. Hundreds of Honduran migrants who had entered Guatemala this week without registering are being bused back to their country's border by authorities. After running into a large roadblock. Seldom since 2018 had the prospects for a migrant caravan been so discouraging. Guatemala's president saw them as a contagion risk and Mexico's president speculated the caravan was a plot to influence U.S. More at VOA News. Two former U.S. health officials tell the AP that Vice President Mike Pence in March directed the nation's top disease control agency to use its emergency powers to effectively seal the borders against immigrants and asylum seekers over the objections of its scientists. Three people with direct knowledge of its situation say that the top of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention doctor had refused to comply with the Trump administration. Directive. Then Pence ordered CDC Director Robert Redfield to approve the order.
Directive order. Then Pence ordered CDC Director Robert Redfield to approve the order.
So far, it has caused nearly 150,000 children and adults
That so far has caused nearly 115,000 children
to be expelled from the country.
and adults to be expelled from the country.
South Africa and India have asked the World Trade Organization to waive some provisions
South Africa and India have asked the World Trade Organization to waive some provisions
in the international agreements that regulate intellectual property rights to speed up
in the international agreements that regulate intellectual property rights to speed
efforts to prevent, treat, and contain the COVID-19 pandemic.
to speed up efforts to prevent, treat, and contain the COVID-19 pandemic.
Countries argue that without a rapid waiver of some existing safeguards for intellectual property rights,
The countries argue that without a rapid waiver of some existing safeguards for intellectual property rights,
some countries, particularly developing ones, would find it hard to access vaccines or medicines quickly.
some countries, particularly developing ones, would find it hard to access vaccines or medicines quickly.